Hello everybody, I am Eleanor. I am a practicing astrologer and a witch, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Venus retrograde in Leo. This transit is taking the spotlight this summer. It will start on July 22nd and it'll end on September 3rd or 4th depending on which time zone you're in. Today I'll be going over how Venus retrograde in Leo will affect you personally based on your rising sign. We'll also be taking a look at the collective themes, so what we will experience as a collective due to this transit. And I'll also be talking about the most affected zodiac signs by Venus retrograde. But before we get into all of this goodness, this video has been brought to you by my beautiful Patreons. Patreon is my safe place. It's a platform where I post exclusive astrology content. All of my astrology research and witchcraft tips are on there. So if you'd like to gain access to exclusive videos, audios, articles, all of that good stuff, go subscribe to my Patreon. I actually have this new series about the Venus signs and how you can increase your magnetism and your seductive power based on the sign of Venus in your birth chart. So if you're interested in this series and in all of the beautiful things that I have on my Patreon, then go check out the link in the description box. I'm also on all social media platforms possible and imaginable. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, TikTok. My handle is @Astro Eleanor. So if you'd like to see more free astrology content, then go follow me on there. Alright then, let's talk about Venus retrograde in Leo. Before I get into the collective manifestations, I want you guys to understand the archetype of Venus and Leo, and I'm gonna make a brief description of both. First of all, Venus is a planet connected to beauty, to relationships, to love, to union, to harmony. And Leo, being ruled by the sun, is a zodiac sign associated with leadership, with the ego, with vitality, with creativity. When you blend these two factors together and you take into account that Venus is going retrograde, you'll get a few different manifestations. First of all, Venus goes retrograde every 18 months for around 6 weeks. During this period of time, a lot of us will be reevaluating our concept of self-worth and self-love. We'll really be asking ourselves, do I love myself? Is the love and appreciation that I feel for me genuine, or is it a facade? Do I neglect my needs? Do I honor myself? Those are the questions that will keep coming up. You will find yourself in situations where you'll need to ask yourself those questions and step into that deep self-reflective space. This period invites you to reevaluate how you can better cater to your needs without relying on external influences. How can you show love to yourself? How can you empower yourself? This transit is also about empowerment, empowering yourself, your concept of personal power, regaining your power, calling it back, taking the reins of your life and really stepping into that leadership position and being like, I'm not going to take from anybody. This is me. Here is me. This is who I am. And you'll likely come to this conclusion or step closer to it after the transit is done, because the period of time marked by Venus retrograde is about the self-reflection that is going to get you there. And speaking of reevaluating your worth and self-love, Venus retrograde will help you step into a more authentic self-expression so that you won't have to put on a mask or a fake persona so that you can be liked, or so that you can feel like by acting, you can be perceived there as more palatable. Venus retrograde is about understanding that you should be shining your own light and nobody should have the power to dim it, not even you. Since Leo is associated with creativity and Venus is going retrograde, this is a planet associated with art, you could be revisiting an old creative hobby. You could be picking it back up and just trying a new approach, or just finding this reignited love for this passion that you used to have. And I would highly encourage you, if you're not doing it unconsciously or automatically, to go back to a hobby that you used to really like, something that sparked a fire within you. Let's say you used to draw, or you used to paint, or to sing, or you liked photography, whatever it may be. Go back to it. You may find more fulfillment in it. You might find new ways that you can just channel your creative energy into that creative outlet, and it might feel amazing. Something crucial that could take place for you during this transit is learning how to be an individual, Leo energy, that solar energy, paired with Venus in a relationship. So learning how to embrace your individuality while you are in a partnership. Understanding that your needs and your partner needs are separate, and it's good to find compromise without having to neglect too much of what you want or too much of what your partner wants. And any relationships that do not support you and that don't support your self-expression, that don't support your authenticity, anywhere where you are not being accepted for who you are, it'll become so unbearable during this transit that you might need to step out of that partnership. You might need to step out of that friend group. And this will teach you how to make more conscious choices about your love life, about your friendships, about your business relationships even. This is an opportunity to gain clarity on your values, on your standards, and just learning how to be you in a partnership without merging your identity with somebody else. Learning how to rely on yourself even though you have a support system. This is also what Venus retrograde in Leo can be about. And I'll tell you something cool. Leo is connected to the heart, you know, the lion's heart, yada yada yada. And then you get Venus, the partnership. When it comes to your relationships, the relationship that you have in your life, especially with people who are close to you, you might have a lot of heart-to-heart conversations with them. These conversations could be about what you need, what that person needs, how your ego clashes, and how you can move past that. It could simply be about your relationship dynamic and the patterns that are just not promoting your self-expression. They're not allowing you to feel safe in that connection, safe to express yourself authentically. I'm just saying. So the most affected zodiac signs by Venus retrograde in Leo are, of course, Leo in the spotlight, first place. Then you get Taurus, second place. You have Aquarius, third place. And then you have Scorpio, fourth place. These are the 4 zodiac signs that will be the most affected. And if you want to learn how, check the timestamps below, look for your rising sign, and listen to that section so that you can understand how to prepare for this transit, what to expect, and I'll give you some guidance as far as how to navigate it more smoothly. If you are a Leo rising, Venus will transit your first house. It'll step into that part of your chart that symbolizes who you are, your physical body, your appearance, your self-expression, how you approach new beginnings, all of that good stuff. So this transit will significantly influence your self-image, your self-expression, your personal style, and it can really prompt you to self-reflect on how you value yourself. Do you appreciate yourself? Do you show love to yourself regularly? Do you know what your love language is? And do you practice that into your life? Doing these things, just stepping more and closer towards unconditional self-love, is what will happen during this transit, and what can also bring you more fulfillment because you're not working against the energy of Venus retrograde in Leo in your birth chart. You may sort of question how you present yourself to the world, how you are perceived by other people. You may change your wardrobe or just feel inspired to change your aesthetic, the way you do your makeup, your hair color. And personally, I wouldn't suggest that you make any big change, especially when it comes to haircuts, hair colors. If it's just makeup or just playing around with the clothes in your closet, there's nothing wrong with that because you can always take the makeup off, put the clothes back. But when it comes to your hair, if you cut it, it is not coming back. If you dye it the wrong color and if you end up not liking it, I'm not saying it's irreversible, but your hair gets damaged and all of that good stuff. So it's just better to wait until Venus retrograde is done, until the transit is just over with, so that you can make that decision with more clarity. Because if you make a decision that's related to beauty and your appearance while Venus transits your first house, you might regret it and you might have to redo it. Retrograde energy. Venus retrograde in your first house can also help you tap more into your inner child and just connect with that young version of you and nurture it, doing the things that you used to love doing as a child, or eating the meals that you used to love, buying yourself things that you wanted when you were younger. All of those things could sort of happen with Venus and Leo in your first house going retrograde. You could also feel this urge to express your creativity or reassess if the creative outlets that you have in your life right now are serving you or not, or if you should change them or readjust them so that you can express yourself, first house, creatively, Venus, in a way that honors you, Leo energy. I love breaking things down this way. It just scratches an unknown part of my brain. I cannot describe it. Since Venus is in your first house and it'll likely oppose your descendant, which is in your 7th house, exes could come back, relationships issues could come up to the surface so that you can solve them. You could address some dynamics and patterns that are just not contributing to the well-being of the relationship, your own well-being, the well-being of your partner, and yada yada yada. This transit can also give you an opportunity for closure or for healing in your past relationships, or in a relationship that you're in right now but it's just not working out. And this opposition with your descendant can really be crucial when it comes to growing in a partnership or understanding what you learned and how to move on from it. All of the relationships dynamics that you have experienced, that you have gone through, you will really be reflecting on how they have shaped your sense of self and your self-worth, and how your self-worth plays into the kind of partners that you choose and the kind of relationships that you accept and welcome into your life. Venus retrograde in your first house can also encourage you to embrace your magnetism, to embrace your authenticity, to embrace who you are unapologetically. But that process can be painful because you'll be faced with the self-imposed limitations that you put on yourself and those barriers that you put between you and the joy of just expressing what you want, voicing out what you want, who you are, just entering a room and owning it. Any blockages that are standing in the way of your success in terms of owning who you are, feeling comfortable in your skin, they will rise up to the surface. You might have to deal with them, but it'll be a super rewarding process because in the end you'll feel more confident, you'll feel more secure within yourself. And of course, the planet of love, Venus, going retrograde in your first house of self, and then in Leo, which is a zodiac sign associated with the ego, you get a heavy focus on self-love. I think I mentioned this a million times in this video already, and we're just at the beginning. But this is really what Venus in the first house is about. Self-love. Reassessing if the way that you love yourself is authentic. And that is all I'm gonna say about that. You may also play around with different styles, with different ways of adorning your body and beautifying your body and enhancing your appearance. So this transit is propelling you forward on this journey of self-discovery. It encourages you to explore your passions, your desires, your values, and it'll all lead to personal growth and healing. Well, that's the best possible outcome, at least. If your ascendant is in Taurus, this is how Venus retrograde will affect you. Venus retrograde will step into your 4th house, and this area of your birth chart is connected to family, to lineage, to the foundations of your life, and to familial relationships. So it can bring about a reevaluation or deep self-reflection when it comes to how you relate to your family and how your family dynamics have shaped your self-expression. Whether you're comfortable in your skin or if you're not, you'll understand which family dynamics led you there. This transit is really calling you to reflect on whether you are receiving the support that you need from your family environment, from your family as a whole, or how you can build a support system that you can call family. You might even be thinking about past events that took place in your family and how they have shaped your family history. Just putting the pieces together and tying everything together to make sense of the bigger picture. You could also reevaluate how you relate to your mother or to your father, because parental figures can be seen through the 4th house. So your relationship with them during this retrograde may need a little bit more effort. You may need to invest more time in it. You might self-reflect or talk about them in therapy or talk about your family. Just understand how those patterns and dynamics in your family contribute to the person that you have become today. You can get the opportunity to heal any past wounds as it relates to your family and to your parents, and overall to create a more supportive and loving family environment in any way that feels comfortable to you. Venus is retrograde in Leo. The focus is on you. Venus retrograde in your 4th house can also bring about amazing opportunities to connect with your ancestors, to reconnect with them, to find a way to communicate with them and to establish a stronger bond with them. You could be exploring your lineage, where you come from, discovering who the people that brought you here are, how their trauma and generational trauma is manifesting within you and how to heal that. You could also be in a space where you simply want to reevaluate your sense of security. Do you feel comforted by your family? Do you feel safe in your home? All of these questions will be coming up to the surface. And if the answer to those questions is negative, you're gonna need to understand how you can make that answer positive. This is what Venus retrograde in Leo is helping you figure out through the 4th house. And Venus retrograde can also make childhood memories resurface. So you could be looking back on your childhood years, who you used to be, how they shaped you, which kind of events still stick with you, and how they impacted your emotional well-being. And since Venus is associated with aesthetics, and the 4th house, of course, is the home, you could be looking into ways to beautify your home and just like understanding how you can make your living environment more welcoming and sort of like this temple or this sacred space where you feel comfortable. If you have an Aquarius rising, Venus retrograde in Leo will be stepping into your 7th house, which rules over your personal partnerships, your close relationships, contracts, agreements. Aquarius risings, I'm not saying your ex is coming back, but sort of, if you have any unfinished business with people from the past, only then they might come back. And this is your chance to cut ties and just block that person, cut them out of your life, point blank, period, without hesitation. So of course it goes without saying that Venus retrograde in your 7th house can help you reflect more on how you contributed to different relationship dynamics. It can help you reassess how you can reach better compromise, better balance in your close connections, and just align yourself with partners who share your values, who respect you, who honor you. This transit can also help you understand what you need in a relationship, what you desire, what your standards are, what your relationship style is. just stepping closer to honoring yourself in a relationship. And this transit is really about honoring yourself in partnership. You'll really be prompted to think about the recurring relationship dynamics that take place in your life and why that happens. How do you contribute to that? How much of it is it your responsibility and how much of it isn't? So you'll be given the opportunity to heal yourself. And to grow based on the kind of relationship dynamics that you find yourself in, based on the current relationship that you are in if you do have a partner. You may also revisit past relationships. Like I said at the beginning of this, exes could come back. You may rekindle an old relationship. You may get closure. You could find a way to heal together, or you could be reminded of why you and this person didn't work out in the first place. It really comes down to the kind of dynamic that you and this person have. If there are imbalances or power struggles in your connections, they will exacerbate during Venus retrograde, because this transit is highlighting the issues in your partnerships so that you can work through them and find common ground with that person if it can be done. So the focus here is addressing any codependent pattern, any unhealthy behaviors, any self-limiting beliefs as far as love and what you deserve in a relationship. It's also about learning how to establish mutual respect in a partnership, or how to reinforce that, how to build strong foundations in your partnerships. If your rising sign is Scorpio, Venus retrograde is moving through your 10th house of career, reputation, long-term goals, life direction. So you'll really be called to do some deep introspection when it comes to the efforts and the investments that you're making in your life, and whether they're helping you move towards your dream career or a fulfilling career, a career that you want. Are you pursuing a career because somebody told you to? Or are you doing it because you want to? Your personal desires are really highlighted during this transit, and if you are not doing something for yourself, it'll become so apparent that you'll need to step out of it and just snap out of it as well. You may really question if what you're doing for work or what you plan to do is aligned with your personal desires. Is it honoring you? Is it honoring what you want? Is it honoring who you are? And if it's not doing that, then it's time to readjust and just go back to the drawing board, which can be incredibly intimidating. But at the end of the day, is it best to just face that feeling of being uncomfortable and directionless rather than just settling for a career that you don't like, that you genuinely don't like, that drains the soul out of you? I mean, you pick, you choose. Venus retrograde in Leo in your 10th house can also help you reassess if the way that you present yourself to the public and in the workplace feels authentic to you. And you may really reflect on how your actions impact your reputation. So it's best for you to cultivate authenticity and integrity in your work life, in your career, because it's the right thing to do, first of all. And then second of all, it'll help you align yourself with this retrograde energy. You're like, okay, this is what I need to reflect on. There is no confusion, no breathing room for any confusion. I know what to do during this retrograde. The 10th house is also connected to your relationship with authority figures, especially the father. So there could be some events that you go through with authority figures or your father where you need to have heart-to-heart conversations and reassess and question the power dynamic in that partnership and how it could be dishonoring you or the other person. You could also seek mentorship because you're in that place where you want to understand if what you're doing is aligned with you. So getting the advice of somebody wiser or a person that you trust with those kind of topics, it can be a great way to navigate this Venus retrograde transit in your 10th house. You could also revisit how far you have come, your achievements, and just stepping into a place of gratitude and really being like, oh my God, I have come so far. Venus retrograde is really helping you take in what you have done to get to where you are. It's like you're getting a chance to sit down, look up, and be like, this is the bigger picture. And it can really help you reignite that motivation to become more successful. And Venus retrograde in your 10th house can also help you reassess strategies for success, or it can help you strategize to be successful. Since Venus retrograde could be forming an opposition to the IC, which is a point in your 4th house, which represents family, this opposition could mean that you will need to find a balance between your work life and your personal life in the upcoming 6 weeks. Getting a grasp on how you can balance your family life with your career life, your personal goals with your professional goals. So instead of neglecting one or the other, you're sort of helping them intertwine together and work in this symbiotic way. Venus retrograde in your 10th house can also help you reconnect with that passion that made you step in this precise career field, or that made you set that specific long-term goal in the first place. You can find yourself in this space where you are trying to be more motivated and inspired, especially when looking back at the things that you have achieved already or the things that you want to do in the future. And since the 10th house is your reputation and your public persona, and Venus is going retrograde in this area of your chart, I would say it is possible for you to transform the way that you present yourself to the public. You could really reevaluate if the clothes that you're wearing or your behavior, your demeanor is appropriate for the workplace, or if your attitude as a whole is helping you achieve those long-term goals that you really want to see manifest and come to fruition in your life. If you're a Cancer rising, Venus retrograde in Leo is stepping into your 2nd house of financial gain, personal possessions, personal values, and self-worth. When Venus retrograde goes through your 2nd house, it can really bring about this period of deep self-reflection when it comes to the things that you value. It could bring about just, the cluttering session, a good old decluttering session where you're getting rid of the things that you don't want anymore, things that belong to the past, especially things that have been gifted to you by past partners, or if you have the belongings of a past partner in your house, you might throw them out. You might just feel compelled to do so. And if that is the case for you, if you have old objects just laying around and this stagnant energy in your home, I would suggest that you just go and do the decluttering session. You may also feel called to reflect on whether what you value and your ethics and your morals are just aligned with how you express yourself. Do you practice what you preach? I will just leave it at that. During this time, you may also need to revisit your budget, your monthly expenses. You need to make some adjustments in that area of your life. This is a great time to do that. You may also, face some circumstances that prompt you to micromanage your finances and just understand where your money is going. And even how the relationships in your life are either hindering your ability to earn and to feel more grounded into your sense of self-worth, or whether they're promoting it. Just take some time to question your spending habits, your budgeting skills, your long-term financial goals. Take some time to reassess that and to see if it is aligned with who you are right now, especially if you have old goals that you set in the past. And disclaimer, right now is not a good time to make any huge purchases where you're going to be spending a lot of money, because you could be buying faulty products or just things that you'll end up returning, because retrograde energy, once again, is about doing things once more. Venus retrograde in your 2nd house can also give you an opportunity to reflect on your past financial decisions and how they led you to where you are right now. Just, thinking about some old spending habits or some old investments or some financial commitments that you have made. The point here is getting a grasp on whether you want to keep continuing making those decisions, want to keep, being committed to those financial choices that you have made. It's really what the transit is about for you. And overall, you may be thinking about how you can achieve financial security, how you can create that comfort for yourself. How much you earn is not necessarily tied to your self-worth, and how your material possessions do not define you. So the inner work that you really need to do is about building a strong core of self-worth that is independent from how much you earn, the things that you have, the things that you own. So taking your power back and realizing that external factors do not influence who you are and your value. And if you have been trying to shift your mindset, if you do have any self-limiting beliefs about money, Venus retrograde in your house can really help you to redo those mindsets and just be like, okay, this is not the kind of thoughts that can help me achieve my goals. So let's see how I can readjust that. Let's see how I can work around that. So you can step into this space where you are embracing a more abundant mindset and you're just aligning your financial decisions with your values. If your rising sign is Gemini, Venus will be going through your third house of communication, learning, thought processes, relationship with siblings and neighbors in your immediate environment. The possible manifestations of this transit could lead you to really think about your communication style. Is it effective? Is it helping you foster healthy relationships? Are you satisfied with the way that you communicate your feelings, your thoughts, your concerns? Are you doing it in a way that honors you? Are you doing it in a way that is authentic? Those are the questions that you should be really asking yourself, and those are the questions that will come up for you. So Venus retrograde in your third house can really help you become clearer with your communication style. It can also be a great way for you to become more charismatic and to have this warmth and this inviting energy about your words and just becoming more eloquent as a whole. You could also be going back to reading old books or writing poetry if that was a creative outlet for you, or just writing things or journaling even. This retrograde energy in your third house could also help you reevaluate your relationship with your siblings, just work through any rough patches, or if there are any power imbalances between you and your siblings, just working through them, understanding how you can make that dynamic a little bit healthier. But misunderstandings could come up in your relationship with your siblings and you might need to reach common ground or just a compromise. And Venus retrograde can help you build a more authentic and genuine connection to your brother or your sister or your aunts and your uncles and your cousins. Those are the people that are ruled by the third house, but also childhood friends. So keep that in mind. Since the third house is associated with the process of learning and your mental processes, it can really put your thought patterns in the spotlight and your learning style in the spotlight. You might find new ways of absorbing information, or just reassessing if your study methods are working for you, or if the information that you know needs to be brushed up on, or if you need to review certain information that you need to sort of upgrade your knowledge. It can really make you question how you learn things and the things that you know. And you're like, okay, but is this true? Does this align with my values and with who I am? So you're like going through your mental inventory, analyzing your beliefs and being like, oh, well, is this thought pattern, good for me? Is this thought pattern aligned with me? Well, if it isn't, I can change it. And Venus retrograde in your third house can be a great opportunity to shift your mindset, to redo your mindset. Since the third house is connected to your immediate environment, it can really give you an opportunity to reconnect with your childhood home, your childhood neighborhood, old places that you really enjoyed visiting or that you really enjoyed spending time at. You could develop a renewed and more meaningful connection to these places, which is super important for your personal development. And the third house is also about social media. So you could really sit down and reflect on whether the way that you're representing yourself on social media feels authentic to you, and the way that you interact on social media especially. So you're kind of thinking about your digital footprint and being like, all right, well, Are there any accounts that I need to delete? Do I need to rebrand my Instagram? Do I want to delete TikTok? Whatever it may be, you're really thinking about how social media is even affecting your life and your mindset. And with this transit, you may even go back to studying things that you used to love or things that used to interest you. You're really going back to those books, those YouTube videos, those podcasts. You're like revisiting them, seeing them through a new lens with new meaning, or just like being interested in those things again and wanting to learn more and incorporate them into your life once again. If you are an Aries rising, Venus retrograde will transit through your 5th house. And this area in the birth chart is connected to dating, to sex, creativity, recreational activities, your inner child, and what gives you joy. So this transit can really help you reassess if the creative outlets that you have in your life and that you utilize are aligned with your self-expression, if they really allow you to be there and to channel your creativity in a way that feels authentic to you. You may even pick up an old hobby and find this joy within it that, maybe got lost. You may feel more motivated to go back to singing or to dancing, writing, cooking, anything that is creative, anything that makes you feel alive. Of course, since the 5th house is connected to dating, if you have any unfinished business with past dating partners, with situationships in your life, well, these people could make a comeback in your life so that you can either rekindle this relationship, reestablish boundaries, and be like, I do not want you in my life. You no longer have access to me, or you could simply get closure or some sort of apology from them. You may even think about the dynamics that you usually encounter when dating and the kind of dating partners that you attract and what that says about you and your self-worth and your self-love. So you may really be thinking about your romantic needs, how you can honor them through these dating experiences. Venus retrograde traveling through your 5th house can also be about entering the space of deep self-reflection when it comes to what brings you joy. So what can you do to infuse your life with more joy? What activities can you engage in so that you can feel passion and motivation and this sense of vitality within you? So allow yourself to revisit old self-care practices, old hobbies, even things that your inner child loves doing, because Venus retrograde in your 5th house can also be about reconnecting with that younger part of you and just engaging in shadow work or buying yourself the things that you wanted as a child. Going back to those activities or those movies, those cartoons, those TV series, those people that you connected with when you were younger. Well, the 5th house is also about creativity, so this transit can really be about going back to a creative project that maybe you didn't have time to complete, pouring energy into it and channeling your efforts into that creative project and being like, okay, I want to bring this to completion. Or if you have an ongoing creative project, this transit can really be about reassessing your strategy for completing it or reassessing your approach and just finding new ways to express your creativity or to bring that project to completion. If your ascendant falls in Pisces, Venus retrograde in Leo will step into your 6th house. And this area in your birth chart is connected to daily activities and routines, your work life, your relationship with coworkers and employees, the way that you help other people, so how you become of service to others. So the possible manifestations of this transit can be reflecting on your relationship with coworkers, for example, addressing any power imbalances and the relationship dynamic that you have with the people that you are around in the workspace. You may also reconnect with co-workers from the past or go back to an old job. You may also reevaluate the things that you do to foster your well-being and to be healthy. You could really be thinking about your diet or dieting or working out or your daily routine, your sleeping schedule. Are those things consistent in your life? Are those parts healthy? Are they honoring you, which is the most important thing with Venus and Leo? So you may adjust your habits, prioritize self-care, and explore new ways through which you can just improve your health and your well-being. Your approach to efficiency and productivity as a whole could also change. You may listen more to your body and the things that you need in order to be efficient. This transit for you is really about reflecting on your time management skills, on your schedule, on how you work, how you approach your daily life, and how you can establish healthier boundaries between self-care and work. And when it comes to your coworkers, you could also reach a more harmonious balance in your relationship with them and just be more cooperative or collaborative, or find ways and think about ways through which you can channel this collaborative energy. These 6 weeks marked by this Venus retrograde in Leo transit could also help you step into a space where you are reflecting on how you help other people and your approach to that. Are you overly sacrificing yourself? Are you pouring into your own cup before you step out and pour into other people's cups? You could also think about if when you help other people, it's coming from a genuine place or a desire to be valued and appreciated and receive admiration. So if you're doing it for the right reasons, for the reasons, of honoring yourself and helping other people, or just being accepted, receiving validation. And if there are conflicts in the workplace for you, this time could be a great opportunity to work through those issues and to really create a harmonious work environment for you. If your rising sign is Capricorn, Venus retrograde in Leo will step into your 8th house, and this area of your birth chart is connected to intimacy, to vulnerability, to death and rebirth, so to transformation, but also to shared resources. The possible manifestations of this transit could revolve around reflecting on your approach to intimacy. Any issues that you have around intimacy, you're gonna get the opportunity to work through those things. You'll really be reflecting on them and getting the time and space to think about how to heal yourself. You could also question the depth and authenticity of the close and intimate relationships in your life. And this is a great time to just foster and work on building vulnerability and exploring that part of you in partnerships. It is also about reassessing how much you invest in your intimate connections, and if the effort is mutual. If those shared resources, whether it be time, advice, money, whatever it may be, is it being reciprocated? Is the relationship mutually beneficial? Are you being taken advantage of? Are you honoring yourself when you give out and when you are involved in that sharing dynamic? If you are involved in a marriage or in a partnership where you share money, for example, or you share assets and stuff like that, you may reflect on how you handle those material resources, or you may need to readjust your spending habits as a couple or as a duo, because the relationship doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. And this period could just help you reevaluate those financial commitments, those financial agreements that you have made with another person, with transparency and with authenticity. And of course, it's about making sure that you share resources with another person in a way that feels good to you as well. The 8th house is also a house connected to power. So Venus, the planet of relationship, going retrograde in this section of your chart could really highlight power imbalances and power struggles into your connections. It can really help you work through them. It can really be about just knowing when to step away, knowing when to put your foot down, knowing when you need to stand up for yourself, and knowing when you need to take your power back. And this can help you foster relationships where equality and harmony is one of the first things, or it's just the foundation, it's the priority. During this time, you could also look back on your healing journey, or just take the time to heal as a whole, especially when it comes to issues that are related to your confidence, to your self-expression, to feeling comfortable speaking out and knowing that your voice deserves to be heard. Emotional wounds and could rise up. Things that you thought that you healed from might make an appearance once again, so that you can make those final adjustments and keep working through them. And in the end, this can give you the space to create renewal, to go through that cycle of death and rebirth. I do believe that because this is retrograde energy, you may need to revisit something that happened in the past or that hurt you in the past, so that you can finally release it and let it go, because there might be emotions that you haven't fully processed or things that you haven't fully understood about certain painful events. And so this is a great opportunity to do that. Venus retrograde in your 8th house can really help you release those unhealthy attachments from your life, those codependent connections or attachments to ways of being and habits that no longer align with your well-being. And it can really be helpful to just take the time to reflect on what those things are and take proactive steps to change them. This transit is really about not resisting change. If a chapter of your life needs to begin and you just have been preventing it because you're scared of the transformation process and the change, Venus retrograde in your 8th house can help you prepare for that. So in the end, the main goal here is learning how to open yourself up to intimacy, to vulnerability, to change, to going through that process of rising from the ashes like a phoenix. If your rising sign is Sagittarius, Venus retrograde in Leo will step into your 9th house, which is associated with beliefs, with your morals, your ethics, philosophy. It is associated with travel, spirituality, higher education, college. So Venus stepping into this house and going retrograde can really help you think about, if you're in college, whether the way that you're studying, the effort that you're putting in is helping you achieve those goals. And it's really highlighting whether you're taking the reins of your education path and your journey in college, or whether you're just, living an autopilot. It'll really highlight whether your choice to go to college was, and the path that you chose, the field that you chose, was aligned with what you wanted and what felt authentic to you, or what somebody else wanted. You may also reassess your sets of beliefs and morals and your belief system as a whole, even your spiritual beliefs, your religious beliefs. This transit is about reconnecting with your spiritual side, with spirituality, with your philosophy of life. Are the beliefs that you hold still relevant to who you are? During this time, you could also go back to some mentors, gurus, books, courses, workshops, or you may find a new mentor or a new course or a new workshops that inspires you and that helps you expand your mind and broaden your horizons and sort of brush up on knowledge that you already have and expand on it. This transit is about learning new things, but more so adding on to the knowledge and wisdom that you already have. You could also question your connection to the divine. This is a great time to explore different spiritual practices or different spiritual beliefs and see if the religious beliefs that you hold are something that you are practicing in your life actively and that is honoring you. So embrace the spiritual growth that this Venus retrograde transit is giving you. It can really help you make sense of those things that don't seem to make sense in your life and about life. During this time, you could also experience some delays if you're traveling, especially if you're traveling really far away from your hometown or from where you live. So be careful with that. Always double check everything. And you may also go back to some travel experiences that have impacted you culturally and how they shaped the person that you are today. And of course, Venus retrograde is in Leo after all. So being that it's going through your 9th house, it can really be about reflecting on what your personal truth is, understanding what you believe in. Instead of regurgitating information from books and from other people, this transit is really prompting you to go within and think about what's your input on all of that. It could also help you transform your mindset. It can help you see things in a broader way. It can help you get a grasp of the bigger picture. It can help you go back to a certain situation in your life and really see things from a third person view. You can really be more receptive to different viewpoints and just challenge your construct of reality, especially when it comes to love and relationships, because we are talking about the planet Venus. The ninth house is also about purpose. So you could be thinking about, what is my purpose? What meaning do I assign to certain experiences and people and objects in my life and in life? Venus retrograde in your ninth house can really bring about these opportunities for personal growth. If you have a Libra rising, Venus retrograde will be stepping into your 11th house of networking, community, hopes, wishes, long-term goals, friendships, platonic connections. So first and foremost, you'll be reflecting on your friendships. And if your friends are supporting you, are they motivating you, are they honoring you, you'll also be reflecting on how to be a separate individual from your friends and from your friend group. You could really question how authentic you are being in your platonic relationships. So you could have falling out with friends. You may reconnect with old friends as well. Somebody that you haven't finished business with could make a reappearance in your life. So this is a great opportunity to assess what your standards are in a friendship, what you expect a friend to do, and most importantly, are you being that for your friends? So you're learning how to honor your individuality and how to be an individual in your platonic connections. Even when it comes to social circles that you're involved in, or communities or groups, you'll really be thinking about whether that community is aligned with your values, with who you are. You could really think about the kind of impact that community has on you and how it is shaping you as an individual. And it can be a great time to reconnect with like-minded individuals or people that you have networked with before. And the 11th house is also connected to the collective. You may be entering this space of deep self-reflection when it comes to how you contribute to the collective. Are you healing? Are you helping? Are you just being authentic? And through that authenticity, whether it be in a big way or in a small way, on a bigger scale or on a smaller scale, are you inspiring other people to do the same? Are you engaging with community authentically? Are you doing things for self-interest, or are you doing it to receive admiration and validation? Or are you doing it because you genuinely support a shared goal and you want to channel energy into making that a reality for the whole group? Like I've mentioned before, the 11th house is also connected to your hopes and your wishes and your long-term goals. So you just may be reassessing your long-term goals. Do you still want to be on that path, or do you want to switch gears, change the path completely, readjust the goal, make it more realistic, make it bigger? This transit is really about reflecting on the future and the direction that you want to move towards. And most importantly, the people in your life, are they supportive of those long-term goals? And if they're not, your relationship with them might take a hit during this Venus retrograde transit. And I would like to add, any underlying issues with friends, any unhealthy dynamics can be addressed and should be addressed and could very well rise up to the surface in the upcoming 6 weeks. If your ascendant is Virgo, Venus retrograde in Leo will move through your 12th house. And this area in the birth chart is connected to spirituality, to intuition, past lives, introspection, subconscious patterns, isolation, solitude. So this transit can really prompt you to be by yourself, to really settle in your energy and become comfortable enjoying your own company. You could take the time to go back to old things that you used to do and include in your spiritual routine, like meditation, journaling, shadow work, breath work. And mostly you'll really be in your head thinking about those subconscious patterns that influence you, any self-destructive behaviors that hinder your confidence, your self-love. You'll find yourself in situations that highlight those tendencies that you have and those patterns that you are not fully aware of. This is really a good time to uncover your hidden desires and to work through emotional baggage and really address any limiting beliefs and any negative thinking patterns that are deeply seated in your mind. You could also reassess your connection to the divine and how you connect with spirituality as a whole. You may even question your connection to a higher power or connect to divinity in a different way compared to how you have been doing thus far. The key here is finding a spiritual practice that aligns with you and that honors you. The 12th house is of course also connected to healing, so it's a no-brainer that Venus retrograde going through your 12th house can really bring opportunities for you to heal past relationship trauma and to really seek closure. Just, take the time to let go, to release, to forgive yourself, to forgive other people. And you can only do so by being by yourself and being in this deep self-reflective space. You could also go back to therapy, for example. Since the 12th house is connected to healing, it can, relate to healing practices such as therapy or, energy healing. And since retrograde energy is about going back, this is how I made this connection. And I would like to add, the 12th house is this transcendental house, this boundless house. And the planet of relationship going retrograde in this section of your chart, it can help you reassess your boundaries and really think about whether you have been overly sacrificing your needs and dishonoring yourself and your connections. So really work on finding that balance between giving and receiving. And of course, Venus retrograde in the 12th house can also help you sort of like redo your subconscious mind and shuffle things and readjust them so you can transform your conscious desires and those patterns that are deeply seated from childhood or from past lives even. It's time to explore those hidden parts of yourself and to go back to the things that you were healing and that you thought that you healed from, possibly address them, bring them to light, bring forth whatever is buried deep within you. And the ultimate goal here is healing to reach a place where you can express yourself authentically without any fear, where you honor yourself without even having to think about it, but you're still considerate of other people. During this time, you could also have some crazy dreams and intuition. The things that you need to heal from could come through your dreams. You may dream about exes, family situations, or your dreams could also be very symbolic and crazy and just they might not make any sense. So keep a dream journal during this transit because it can really be an invaluable resource for your healing journey, because through your dreams and intuition and those intuitive hunches, you can really understand where you need to focus your energy when it comes to your healing yourself, unraveling those traumas, and just holding grace for yourself and being empathetic and compassionate towards yourself, but also others. So yeah, your subconscious will really have a fill day through your dreams. And speaking of compassion, you could also be working on forgiving people, forgiving yourself, letting go, releasing resentment, releasing judgment, stepping into a place where you embrace unconditional love for yourself and for others. Embrace that healing power that compassion and empathy has. And with that being said, that is everything that I have for you guys today. I do really hope that you found this video insightful and helpful. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your support, and I would love for you to subscribe and like this video and become part of my Astro community. I hope you enjoy this Venus retrograde transit. I know I will. I'm learning so many new things, and I'm taking this time to really align with the energy that Venus retrograde wants me to move towards. And this is why I wanted to make this video, to help you guys do the same, because it really helps you step into this space of alignment and of understanding what challenges are coming your way and just how to handle them. So with that being said, I hope you have an amazing day and a wonderful week wherever you are. Bye bye.